Meow.
3 months ago, I watched my neighbor, Mrs. Whiskers, lose her entire retirement fund in just 1 week. She thought she was being smart, playing it safe with what everyone calls fixed income investments. But here's what nobody tells you about playing it safe. Show you will completely change how you think about building wealth. Let me tell you about the day that changed everything I thought I knew about money. It was a Tuesday morning, and Mrs. Whiskers, the gray tabby from down the alley who always bragged about her conservative investment strategy, came running to my cardboard box, tears streaming down her furry cheeks. She had just received a letter from her bank. Her safe government bonds, the ones she'd been collecting sardines to buy for 20 years, had just lost 30% of their value overnight. Not because the government defaulted. Oh no, that would have been too obvious. The culprit was something far more sinister, something that prowls through the financial markets like a hungry alley cat stalking its prey. Inflation. You see, Mrs. Whiskers had fallen into the classic fixed income trap. She thought she was building a fortress around her sardine stash, but she was actually building a prison. And the warden? Time itself. Picture this. Every sardine she invested in those safe bonds was supposed to grow into 2 sardines over 10 years. Sounds perfect, right? But while her sardines were locked away, gathering their modest 3% annual growth, the cost of everything else was rising faster than a cat chasing a laser pointer. The milk she could buy with 1 sardine in 2015 now costs 3 sardines in 2025. Her safe investment had done exactly what it promised. It preserved her sardines. But it forgot to preserve what those sardines could actually buy. She had won the battle, but lost the war. Now, before you start thinking I'm about to claw fixed income investments to shreds completely, let me share something that might surprise you. Fixed income isn't the villain in this story. It's just one tool in a much larger toolbox. And like any tool, it can build you a palace or dig you a grave, depending on how you use it. Let me show you what I mean. When I was just a kitten, my grandmother, old Duchess Fluffington, taught me something profound. She said, "Lupe, there are 2 types of cats in this world. Those who chase every mouse they see, and those who learn to set traps." Fixed income investments are like setting traps. They're not exciting, they don't give you the thrill of the hunt, but they work while you sleep. Here's the first secret about fixed income that most financial advisors won't tell you. It's not about the returns, it's about the rhythm. When you invest in bonds, CDs, or treasury bills, you're essentially telling the market, I don't want to guess what tomorrow brings. I want to know exactly how many sardines I'll have next month, next year, next decade. This certainty is like having a steady supply of mice delivered to your door every week. You might not catch the biggest, juiciest rat in the alley, but you'll never go hungry either. And sometimes, especially when you're older or when you have specific financial goals with fixed deadlines, not going hungry is worth more than the possibility of feasting. But here's where it gets interesting. Warren Buffett once said something that made my whiskers twitch with recognition. Risk comes from not knowing what you're doing. The real risk in fixed income isn't the low returns, it's the illusion of safety that makes you complacent. Let me tell you about the 3 invisible predators that hunt fixed-income investors. The first one I already mentioned, inflation, the silent sardine thief. But the other 2 are even more dangerous because they attack when you least expect it. The second predator is opportunity cost, the ghost of paths not taken. While Mrs. Whiskers was earning her steady 3% on bonds, the stock market was purring along at 10% annually. Over 20 years, that 7% difference didn't just cost her some extra sardines. It cost her an entirely different retirement. Instead of living comfortably in a sunny windowsill apartment, she's now sharing a studio with 3 other cats. But here's the kicker, and this is what really gets my claws out. She thought she was being responsible. Society had programmed her to believe that risky meant bad and safe meant smart. Nobody told her that in the world of wealth building, the biggest risk is not taking any risk at all. The third predator is the most vicious of all, complacency. Fixed income investments are like a warm patch of sunlight on the carpet. They feel so comfortable that you forget the sun is moving. You forget that the world around you is changing. You forget that while you're napping, other cats are learning new hunting techniques, exploring new territories, and discovering new sources of food. I've seen brilliant cats who could calculate compound interest in their sleep, lose decades of wealth-building potential because they confused safe with smart. They optimized for comfort instead of growth, for certainty instead of opportunity. And by the time they woke up, the best hunting grounds were already claimed by bolder cats who understood a fundamental truth about money. Here's what changed my entire perspective on fixed income, and I want you to really listen to this part because it's going to save you years of confusion. Fixed income isn't an investment strategy, it's a life stage strategy. When you're a young cat with sharp claws and quick reflexes, your job is to hunt big prey. You can afford to miss a few mice because you have time to catch many more. This is when you should be primarily in growth investments, stocks, real estate, businesses. Fixed income should be like a small emergency stash of dried sardines, not your main food source. But as you get older, your priorities shift. When you're 15 years old in cat years and your joints are getting creaky, you don't want to be chasing mice through obstacle courses anymore. You want that steady supply of food delivered to your bowl. This is when fixed income becomes your friend, not your enemy. The pros of fixed income are real and powerful. Predictable cash flow, capital preservation, lower volatility, and the peace of mind that comes from knowing your basic needs are covered. When you have a mortgage payment due next month or your kitten's college tuition coming up, you don't want that money tied up in the stock market's emotional roller coaster. But here's the sophisticated way to think about it. Fixed income should be your financial foundation, not your financial ceiling. It's the steady base that allows you to take bigger risks with other portions of your money. When you know your basic expenses are covered by reliable income streams, you can afford to be more aggressive with your growth investments. The cons become dangerous only when fixed income becomes your only strategy. That's like trying to build muscle by only doing stretching exercises. Sure, flexibility is important, but if that's all you do, you'll never develop the strength to lift the heavy sardine cans off the high shelves.
I'll never forget the moment I truly understood this. I was sitting in my favorite thinking spot, you know, that warm patch behind the radiator, when I overheard 2 Wall Street cats talking. One was bragging about his aggressive portfolio that had tripled in 5 years. The other, much older and wiser, simply purred and said something that stopped me cold. I stopped trying to hit home runs when I realized that consistent singles could still win the championship. That's when it clicked. Fixed income isn't about getting rich quick. It's about getting rich certainly. It's about creating a financial rhythm that compounds over time, like the steady drip of condensation that eventually fills the water bowl. But here's the beautiful paradox. When you have that steady rhythm, when you know your basic needs are secured through fixed income, you actually become more capable of taking intelligent risks with the rest of your money. You're not gambling with your survival, you're investing with surplus, and that psychological shift changes everything.
The most successful wealth builders I know don't avoid fixed income. They use it strategically. They create a base layer of certainty that frees them to pursue higher returns elsewhere. They understand that true financial freedom isn't about maximizing returns. It's about optimizing for the life you actually want to live. So here's what Mrs. Whiskers learned, and what I want you to understand. Fixed income investments aren't good or bad. They're tools. And like any tool, their value depends entirely on when, why, and how you use them. You wouldn't use a hammer to tighten a screw, and you shouldn't use fixed income to build wealth in your 20s. But you also wouldn't use a chainsaw to hang a picture, and you shouldn't avoid fixed income entirely when you're approaching retirement. The real secret, the one that separates cats who build lasting wealth from those who end up eating generic kibble in their golden years, is understanding that wealth building is seasonal. Spring is for planting growth investments, summer is for aggressive expansion, autumn is for harvesting and adding fixed income, and winter is for preservation and protection.
But here's my challenge to you. Don't let fixed income become a comfortable cage. Use it as a launching pad. Let it give you the confidence to take bigger, smarter risks with other parts of your money. Because the biggest tragedy isn't losing money in a risky investment. It's spending your entire life being so afraid of risk that you never discover what you're truly capable of achieving. Now I want to hear from you. What percentage of your portfolio is in fixed income? And more importantly, is that percentage serving your dreams or limiting them? Drop a comment below and tell me your fixed income story. Are you Mrs. Whiskers, playing it too safe? Or are you ready to use fixed income as the foundation for something bigger? And if this video helped you see fixed income in a new light, do this cat a favor. Hit that like button and share this with someone who needs to hear this message. Because financial wisdom isn't just about building your own wealth. It's about helping your pack understand the game we're all playing. Until next time, keep your claws sharp and your investments sharper. This is Lupe, signing off.